So when you're selling options, one of the things you can do is roll your position. Now, this is very important because if you're patient, this is where you lower your risk or pretty much eliminate your risk just by buying time. When you buy time, you just extend or push out your contract to a further date, possibly even collect more money and be able to avoid any losses. Now, remember, this is not financial advice. If you pick a crappy stock that's not good at all, then rolling out could possibly not do anything for you, because if that stock is trash, then it might just stay at the bottom and never come back up. However, when I do stuff like this, when I'm selling options, I like using stocks like SoFi or Robinhood or Nvidia, Amazon, those type of stocks. If you don't have the money for those stocks, then I wouldn't even do this yet until you save up some money, because you want to be able to do stocks that you're confident in, that you know are going to go up with time. And, even if it does go against you, you have time for it to recover and come back. Rolling is very important, and I'm going to show you how to roll. And I actually have an example that I did in this same account. Okay, so here we are in the transactions. Now, stay with me because this is a lot of math, but I'm going to show you where I started and where I ended up, right? So I already owned 100 shares of SoFi, right? So I decided to sell a call for $28, which means if it hits $28 or above, I'm willing to sell my shares at $28. And I was going to make that profit, whatever that profit was at the time. And for that, I got a credit of $45. This was like a week out, I think, because for $45, a premium of $45 means it was probably like a week expiration. It wasn't something that I did 30 days out. So I got $45, right? Then, as you can see, that was on November 21st. As you can see, on November 26th, I actually bought that contract out for $163. I got $45. And I'm going to put all the math on the screen for you guys. But I got $45, right? I bought it out for $163 right after that, because it's called a roll. Literally within minutes, I sold the call from, what I did was I pushed it out from December 5th to December 26th. And I was able to collect $259. So what that did was put me in the positive $141. So already making more than I was originally. I only made $45 originally. Now I'm making $141. Again, it didn't go my way. So as you can see, on December 4th, I bought that contract out for $216. So that put me in a negative of $75, because I was up 141 minus the 216. That put me in negative $75. But simultaneously with that, again, I rolled it again. What I did was I rolled it from December 26th. I rolled it out to January 16th. And I was able to collect $240. So now that put me up $165. Now, I know this is a lot of math, but it takes time. You'll get used to this and you'll start seeing, okay, the premiums went up, or I can do this, or I can do that. Because remember, you don't actually have to wait for the expiration. This is why I say you're buying time, but you don't have to wait for the expiration, because if the stock moves in your direction, for example, I moved it from a 28 call in this one to a 29 call. So I moved it higher and I pushed it out. I did both. Sometimes you can do one or the other, or you can do both. So I moved it to $29 and I pushed it out to January 16, which means moving it from 28 to 29, that's $100 more that I would get if the stock's actually sold, because you have 100 shares per contract, and that's $1 difference. So I make $100 more, plus I'm making the premium of the $240. So when I make that premium for $240, now I'm up $165, right? Now, with $165, it actually went in my direction, right? Then that means the stock went down, because I am doing a call where it's going up. So instead of going towards, if it goes towards just your price on a call, that means you're going to go into the negative, right? Because it's getting closer to being sold. In this case, the stock dropped. So on December 29th, from December 4th to December 29th, it dropped, and I ended up, my position went from 240 down to 45. So I bought it out for $45. So I was at $165 profit minus the $45. I made $120. The original amount that I collected was $45. Now, granted, I had to buy time in order to do this. It took me a long time, but the goal for this, if you do it correctly, you won't lose money. But this is how important rolling is, because I just went from possibly losing a trade, or, being in a negative, or actually selling my shares, even though I know I can get more for it, because it was going up, obviously. So if it's going up, I'm like, okay, I don't want to miss the upside. I know this is going to go up. So I can just keep rolling it out while I'm making more money. And in this case, it just worked out for me. Again, every situation is different, but just know that you can always roll to avoid a loss, or you can always roll to avoid actually selling your stocks. So that's what a roll is. A roll is just pretty much closing a current position and opening a new one simultaneously for a benefit, for some type of benefit. Either you're going from 28 to 29 and you're making $100 more on that sale, or you're just rolling it from, one date to a further date so that you can make more premium or avoid a loss. Because technically you can't lose if you're okay with selling the stock, because if it's in the negative, just wait for it to expire and it'll sell at the price that you set. So you're not really going to lose. However, you miss out. It's not really a loss, it's a miss out. So if the stock's going up, if you're at 28, if you have a call for 28 and it's currently at 29, but you haven't reached your expiration, that means that it'll be in the negative, but you're not really going to lose money, because on that expiration date, it's just going to sell it for 28, even though it's at 29. So you just missed out on $100. You didn't really lose any money. You missed out on money. So if you wanted to roll it like I did in this situation, you rolled it from 28 to 29. Now you get that upside of another $100 plus the premium. So you just got to play around with it and know it. That's why it's good to just focus on one or two stocks, so you know how the stock moves, you know what the premiums look like, and you know how to roll when the time comes. So that's it for this one. Make sure you follow and continue this journey of me growing $3,000 to as far as I can get it in 2026 and beyond.